that, I mean, you firmly believe in the role colleges play in the local community, the regional community, even on a national, maybe international stage as well. So talk to us about how colleges, I mean, we're not necessarily BMet now, but how colleges have sort of evolved. We've talked about reviews and this review and local reviews and various other things, and you're continuously going through an element of refresh and looking inwards as well as and talking to some of the stakeholders. And because you've been in the sector a while, you've got the experiences not just in terms of Birmingham, but obviously from a Greater London area as well. So talk to us about some of those challenges within the further education sector, some of the changes within that sector, and how you see the future as well, if you can.
When I first joined FE, I can say from my view, coming from a different, coming from the NHS and whatever, I loved being in FE, but I didn't necessarily like the way that we were organised and the way that we did things. So being incorporated, which was one of the first things that happened, I think, a year into my coming into FE, felt like a refresh. It felt like something different, because some of the stuff that was going on was not good. Wasn't good. And getting to a place where we were finally, I think it was about 5, 6, 7 years later, talking about outcomes instead of input was absolutely one of the best things that happened to FE, as far as I'm concerned, because we started to talk about the individuals, because your output is the individuals. And what are they progressing to? What are they achieving? What are they progressing? So we got a focus, on the FE sector, I think was absolutely right. And I think, the fact that we are, over 85, 90% good or better as a sector, education sector, I think says an awful lot about how we have improved over the last 20 years. I think part of the difficulty for the FE sector, though, and partly kind of blame Callaghan for this, because you kind of opened the floodgates on messing around with education, and having governments having a say in what we do, and so on. Is the tinkering that has gone on, in FE, and some of it for really good reasons. Like I've just described about that, this is what we should be focused on, how we want to do. Absolutely. And from the quality perspective, don't disagree with that. But in terms of a funding perspective and our standing between universities and schools, there has been a view of the FE sector which is not understood at all. I think Labour probably understands it slightly better, just simply because individuals are not necessarily have a certain educational background, and that's just a fact. But even there, I would say there's an issue about a real lack of understanding about the FE sector. And so therefore, you can prod. You can play with it. You can do all sorts of things to it over lots of FE reforms, and obviously the latest ones, the curriculum reforms. As a sector, we have written about, we have been public about our concerns for young people who are going to find themselves in a situation, as an example of this, with the level 3 reforms. And let me just say, we're doing T-levels. Lots of colleges are now doing T-levels, but we all understand those T-levels are there for a very few students, a very few young people. That's what they're designed for. And the government has said that. That's what they're designed for. They're not meant for everybody to do. So you've got this mismatch between youngsters coming out of school at 16 with their GCSEs. That means they've passed at level 2 successfully, passed at level 2, but can't do a level 3 programme because the only game in town is T-levels. That can't be right. Now, the government could have said that they're planning on all these alternative qualifications, to support the others going in other routes, and all of that. And those are coming through, and we can see those. But, you've got gaps which means that we're going to see young people falling through the cracks. And why should you have to want to go to the T level or the A level, but have to do another year at level 2 or something in not quite described, which is the transition program? It doesn't land well. It doesn't make a lot of sense. So as colleges, because the one thing that we've learned from reform is to be adaptable and is to make things work. Because actually, we have in front of us young people and adults who need something now so that they can progress. They don't need it in 2 or 3 years' time when we think that everything is worked out and we can run the program. They need it now. So we have to make sure that we're doing the best as we possibly can through the reforms.
Canny Conversation Podcast Series 5 by Safaraz Ali.